Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Syncing with ServiceNow. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside. I've got Eric Schwartz with me as always. Eric, how's it going?
It's going great, Andy. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Excited to talk about ServiceNow.
We're just
And
talking about your weekend plans. It's Memorial Day weekend. That's when we're recording this the Thursday before.
yep,
I got a pool all set up, ready to spend some time in the water at least, right?
yep. And I just reminded me I have some ribs that I got from a one of those vacuum seal frozen mail order things that I might have to crack open and cook this weekend. So that's gonna have to get put on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I've got some salmon from Alaska that one of my friends brought to me about a year and a half ago, and it's flash frozen, but it's still sitting in my freezer. I need to make that. I need to give that to a friend of mine, let him prepare it so that we can eat it, because I'll screw it up if I try to do it.
There you go.
Well, Eric, this is our third episode of our podcast, and this week's topic is based off a blog that's how automation simplifies hardware asset management. Which, I used to be a sysadmin. I had the spreadsheet. It was a mess. It was never up to date. I'm sure whoever inherited my spreadsheet thought I was an idiot. Um, so, can you kind of intro us into what we're going to cover here, this topic?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So first of all, this topic happens to be written by one of our own cloud directors, and her name is Ying, and she's the director of cloud supply chain operations. So she works within the cloud organization that deploys our IT assets and manages part of our cloud operations. And so she wrote this because this is what we call a now on now story. ServiceNow is the largest consumer of ServiceNow as a product line. And we routinely, break new ground and prove out, the real value of utilizing the platform within our own organization. And that's exactly what this is. So, essentially what we've done in this particular blog, and with the reference to the case study that they're talking about later on in the blog, is we've taken our new product, which is called hardware asset management, and deployed it internally to manage the entire hardware lifecycle for both our end user IT and our cloud operations for the data centers that we manage to provide our cloud platform out to our customers.
I run into it all the time where, IT, software, hardware companies, they have their own IT needs, right? So if you can do it for yourself successfully, that's where you should start. I used to work for Citrix. Citrix uses Citrix internally. They see the issues, they fix the issues, they have the challenges customers have, and prove that it does work. And that's a great way to drink your own champagne.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And, we do it across the entire platform. We're constantly rolling out new capabilities as we make them available publicly. And, it solves real problems, right? So, the challenges in this case that we had within IT and our cloud platform were not uncommon to what you would find externally, where when you're trying to manage your IT assets, and like you said, the Excel spreadsheet, right? These challenges that where people have at their organization, where they're manually tracking stuff, where they're using disparate systems to do one thing and then the other, and they have to, swivel chair between them or go to another person and or manually track stuff down. Like, I mean, that's stuff that we've had to deal with. And in some cases, we still do in some cases, but in this example, we've automated 100% of it and, made significant impact to our organization.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the automation part of it, because obviously if you can get it automated in and dissect it from once you get it in there, that's got to be a massive step in the right direction.
Yeah. So what we've done, I'll just back up like a couple of steps is, so for a long time, ServiceNow had been selling, IT asset management. And we are still selling and providing platform capabilities for IT asset management. But within that, there's really a breakdown as we get more specific and more capable with how you manage hardware assets and how you manage software assets. And so we have two separate products that are called hardware asset management and software asset management, both for unique use cases because they're not the same. And so in this example, we've deployed hardware asset management, and it runs the entire life cycle of managing hardware. It goes from ordering, shipping, receiving, deploying, tracking, and disposing of the equipment, and it automates the entire process. So what we've built internally is something that we've called zero touch delivery. And that means that, for example, you have an employee who, especially, and keep in mind, this was all deployed throughout 2020, which meant that we were dealing with new challenges of having the employees distributed amongst all of their homes and unique places where they're working, and not centrally located in the offices that we were used to. On top of the fact that IT itself had been distributed, which means all of the centralized locations of hardware and equipment and distribution and all of that were shifted dramatically, right? So there was a lot of manual work that could have been done much more easily just being there, right? So maybe it wasn't a problem that had to be solved 2 years ago, because you could just say, yell over the cubicle, hey, I'm sending this to somebody, and they can make a note of it. In this case, it was not like that, right? So we wanted to automate all of our processes at scale so we could do this globally and not have to rely on our old processes. So you take an employee who's got a piece of it.
Is that a way to say that the whatever your process was before all this happened, no matter how good it was, is probably broken once this new world order happened?
I'd like to believe that it was not broken because we are ServiceNow, certainly proving the capability that we have, even without the latest and greatest on ServiceNow. But we definitely ran into the limitations of what it was that we had deployed.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was just saying, like, as from an automation standpoint, going from the point at which a person who needs to get equipment, whether it's that they're new and they're getting equipment for the first time, or they're ordering something because they're refreshing their hardware, they can do that. It can be automatically approved based on certain criteria. And we have integrations with our value-added reseller that procures the equipment and delivers the equipment, tracking all of that, the entire process, all along the way, even to when we're retiring the old equipment. And so that entire process is automated and digitized. It doesn't require any manual intervention from our IT staff, and the stuff gets direct shipped to the people that are making the request. You don't need to manage the inventory system that's in an office anywhere, and streamlining that process has significantly reduced the amount of time and effort that we've put into managing it previously.
Yeah, I love this visual because it shows the in the end, right? And I'm a big proponent of that last piece, what to do with retiring. And I've got a nonprofit that I'm trying to get off the ground that would take those and do something, repurpose them, reuse them. But this visual of the order all the way through the retirement stage of the life cycle of a piece of hardware is very representative of the real world.
Yeah, definitely. And, speaking of real world, so this blog does reference the case study that we've published, and some takeaways that I'll throw out there, right? In this process, from a financial and operational efficiencies, operationally, we've notated that we think we're going to save about 45 minutes per asset on this digital workflow that we've built. And when you say, 45 minutes, it's big deal. It's a good chunk of time, but it's not a big deal. But at scale, we're estimating that we're going to save 4,500 hours in the coming year by having all of this digitized, which allows the IT staff to work on the higher value things that really help the organization that they're trained to do versus putting a sticker on a laptop and manually entering it into the inventory system. When that happens automatically because of the integration with the procurement and financial systems and the approvals that need to happen, and they're automatic because they are based on the rules that are set up, all those things really add up and make a profound impact to the organization.
Yeah, basically,
and the people.
That's 2.5 people. They have other things they could be doing.
Without a doubt, right? That means they can spend time on solving, more significant problems within the company, and it gets the equipment to the people more quickly too, right? So when they get the gear and they're online and ready to go in a very short amount of time, whether they're refreshing their equipment, getting it because it's broken, or getting it because they're a new hire, their productivity immediately becomes realized because they're able to be valuable, on day one if they're a new hire, right? And I think we used that example earlier on in one of our conversations. But being effective early on in the process, we have lots of customers that it can take 20 days to get equipment or get access to all the systems and software that they need. I mean, that in this day and age, you can't risk it. You can't wait that long.
Yeah, every moment helps and counts. We've got several new hires here, and we're ordering laptops this week, and basically just going out to Microsoft's website and ordering a laptop, or debating for days what type of laptop we're going to get. Anything we get, like we're a small company, 50 employees, but we have this exact same problem. I'm sure every customer we have has this problem.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a common problem. With the common solutions are we've got email, Excel spreadsheets, and we get it done, right? And sometimes you don't even realize what you can do with the automation that you can do in these things that you're doing all the time, right? And once you have the digitized workflow, you're not only doing things more efficiently, more cost effective, but then when you want to go back and audit what the inventory is, where your equipment lives, who owns what, how long and how old is the equipment that's been deployed, it's no longer a process. You don't have to run, multiple days, weeks of reports and analyze all that data. It's all available to you immediately. And so in this example, like for us, we're expecting that we can run an audit and save 360 hours annually. It's an unbelievable efficiency gain, not just in deploying the equipment, but just keeping track of things from a financial perspective, from an efficiency perspective, making sure that, people aren't using old gear that is no longer, running properly, or even from a security perspective, right? You want to make sure that if there are security enhancements and new equipment, that you can immediately identify what's been deployed. I mean, all of those things are part of this, right? It's not just about ordering something and having it show up. It's about what you do after that point.
So Eric, sorry, Jared.
It's all right.
So this is all made possible because of the platform that ServiceNow makes available to you, the customer, and that's the IT asset management platform. And then these are just workflows that have been created to take advantage of what can go into and be digested from that platform. Is that the best way to say it? Is it a good way to say it?
Yeah, it's the platform, it's the workflows that we have. So, like ordering something and having that order process tie into procurement or financial or manager approval or whatever. But it's also some of the core capabilities that we have, like hardware normalization. So what we're able to do is where you would normally take an Excel spreadsheet where you have the documents of all of the assets you have, and they've been manually entered in, and somebody has MacBook Pro, but it's spelled with a space in between or with capital letters and no numbers or whatever. What we're able to do is digitally acknowledge the asset and then normalize all of the data to streamline the data that you are tracking. So it's key features like that that go beyond just the workflow of getting work or data from one person to another, but it's simplifying and streamlining and ensuring that the data that you are working with is super accurate.
Right. So in the document, we're talking about the 4 different items that they want to call out here. Help me understand what these 4 things are, and then let's walk through them.
Yeah. So, we talked about productivity a little bit, and like that's the number one key value of automating the entire lifecycle process, right? Where you're getting productivity efficiencies out of the entire supply chain and the people that you're getting the equipment to. You're also, with the accuracy that you get in tracking the data and having it available to you digitally, you have the ability to manage your audits. That's where I was saying before, we're looking at 360 hours annually of saved time. So it's not only saving time, but it's ensuring that when we do go back and look at where things are and what's going on, that we have an immediate, available, accurate record of all of that stuff. And then, I was talking about normalization and the accuracy of the data, right? Deduplicating the data that's stored in the database using standardized practices not only saves time, but it keeps your data accurate to make sure that when you do deploy a bunch of different systems, even if the name changes from the vendor or you switch vendors and they have a different naming convention, we can find standardized information to make sure that data doesn't change in your own record keeping. No. And then, as I've mentioned a couple times, asset disposal, right? It's not just getting it out there to the people, but it's what you do with it once it is out there, making sure that from a financial perspective that you have tracking of that you reclaim the value or the depreciation of those assets. And then even from a security perspective, right? When employees leave, when the gear is no longer or has a security flaw that's been recognized, right? It's finding it and then disposing of it and tracking that entire process too. So digitizing the entire workflow from a hardware asset perspective within end user compute in this particular example it's paying dividends beyond just getting it stood up.
And then these are just the tips of the spears, right? You can then have new workflows that help to automate and improve the process of, say, the disposal as an example.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely, right? So you can extend it out into all different kinds of places, having the entire life cycle automated and beyond, right? And we've also taken this, right, where not just with end user compute, but we've expanded into our cloud operations as well and use the same efficiencies that we've gained there to automate those processes too with hardware asset management.
And you kind of covered the ability to improve additional workflows, maybe like a waterfall effect. I guess one thing to consider is, and maybe this doesn't exist yet, but it might, the ability to integrate with your other partners in the space, maybe your disposal partner, so that they get alerted and all of a sudden the data shows up in their system as needed, and they're not, filling out a spreadsheet on their side.
Yeah, 100%. In fact, we make reference to that in the case study that we've referred to it later on in the blog post, that we have that integration, right? So we have that integration with our disposal partners, we have it with the procurement partners, all throughout the entire end-to-end life cycle. So it's pretty amazing to have all of that digitized.
Yeah. So you guys also have another image here that talks about the benefits, the activity, and the impact, and what the benefit is. I think we've covered all this, but anything specifically about this visual that you'd want to call out that we maybe missed or need to expand upon?
I think that the only other thing that I would call out here is, we're talking about all the improvements that we've made right across the board. And the thing that we're starting to see the light on the other side of this is of the whole global pandemic component, right? Where we did all of this, if it made gains in our efficiencies of an operational standpoint, and we took advantage of it because we had distributed people and assets. But we are now going to be moving back to the office over the course of the next 6 to 10 months. And what we built for this last 12 months, 14 months or so, does not need to change much at all to go into this whole new version of work, right? So all of that automation, it's still going to be valid, right? There may need to be some tweaking, but you can do that without having to train a whole bunch of people or move things around, because it's all digital. And that means that all of the efficiencies and gains and benefits and training and operational procedures that we have in place today, a lot of that gets to remain, even though we are changing our operations again. It doesn't require a whole research and development team and effort to go ahead and go back to the way things were, or maybe like a, version 3.0 of how things need to be, right? It creates that elasticity to changing needs of the business that go so much farther beyond just tracking IT assets.
Right. Well, obviously necessity is the mother of invention, and I think necessity showed up a lot during the pandemic. And now all those things that you did, that if you did it right, can now just fold back into your day-to-day and improve that process and accelerate your improvements that needed to happen anyway. Now they're done, or at least set in the right direction.
Yep, exactly. And it'll obviously make you more equipped to handle on the spot changes in the future as well.
So this almost last paragraph says no more headaches. Is that just simply a matter of once you've automated and developed workflows, you may still have challenges, but the big headache is now gone, and now it's time to just refine and continuously improve?
Exactly. And what part of the no more headaches is also the fact that you have accurate information at your fingertips. So when you do want to see what's going on, you can view a compliance report. You can see the dashboard of live real-time metrics of where your assets are and stuff. And so even if something arises, you're being proactively notified, you're identifying the right people, you understand what the business impact is, and then you can go ahead and do something about it, and then automate that if that's something that is occurring on a regular basis. And so you're really creating the foundation to overcome the challenges that you do encounter in the future much more easily.
Well, I don't know how much construction you've done in your life, but the foundation is key, right? If you can't build anything of substance unless you have that foundation. And that's what this is a new way of building that foundation using modern technologies, cloud technologies, as a service technologies. In other words, the ITAM, IT asset management platform that ServiceNow, built the company around. Once you have that in place, now there's a lot of things you can do, like the automation of your hardware and software inventory and assets.
Yeah, without a doubt. And what we find, not only with us, what we're talking about here in this document or this blog post, is that once you do digitally transform these processes that you have in your organization, that's when you can really start to identify major efficiency changes, where you can really start to make improvements, right? It's that last 20% of improvements that you can make that you weren't even thinking about when it was manual. Now that it's digital, you can really start to make those improvements and uncover things you never even planned for. And, as in this last paragraph here, whereas it's talking about no more headaches, it's also talking about our true now on now case study, where, in this case, we've been talking about end user compute, but we've also talked about, in this case study, we're talking about our cloud operations. And so we're taking the same things that we've done for end users and providing that asset tracking, lifecycle management, ordering, deploying, disposing, et cetera, all of that stuff within our cloud platform. So the stuff that powers the experiences that you see within ServiceNow as a cloud platform for all of our customers, we deploy it there too. And so the efficiencies and I probably said that word a million times in this in this podcast, so I apologize.
All
It's
right.
starting to have no meaning, but the value that you get out of it, we're seeing there too, right? And it's not one or the other. It's not. It has to be both or neither. It's both, and value realized in both instances where there are different but very similar use cases.
Well, I like what you talked about, the efficiencies, and then you brought it back to the real point, which is value.
Yeah, without a doubt, right? And business value and the efficiencies that you find. And this is one of the great things that I find in ServiceNow. I've had good fortune of working at some other organizations in my career where you are providing massive efficiency to a company. You're not just selling them something that's new or great or better, but you're actually able to change the business. And that's what ServiceNow does every day. And so you can immediately find business value, which means potentially dollar savings, and the ability to make better, smarter investments in the future, because you are literally changing your business. You are making it better, and you're changing the way things are, and those benefits are sometimes very, very difficult to make tangible and realize, but it's something that we're able to do. And it's great to see. It's great to see our customers realize that and be excited about it, and then even get to figure out what's new, what's on the horizon, and how they take advantage of those things in the future.
Yeah. So Eric, I do this to people all the time. Why do we call them applications?
Why do we call like ServiceNow's components applications?
Why do we call applications, whether they're SaaS or Win32, Wintel, client server? Why do we call them applications?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Because we're applying software to solve business challenges, just like what you just said. You just said it.
I like that.
I mean, I've got a friend who just applied fertilizer to his lawn, really stinky, horrible fertilizer to his lawn. He's applying something to something else to make it better. That's exactly what we do in IT, and software as a service like ServiceNow. That enables you to do that quicker, better, easier, with less headaches along the way. It's exactly what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see it happen, right? And the stuff that we're doing and what people are doing out there, it's awesome.
Hey, Eric, thanks. This has been great. I learn every time. I love to hear more and more about what you guys are doing. Big fan of ServiceNow. I come from a world of IT management. So, knowing that this is all grown out of IT asset management and IT as a service, it's just kind of near and dear to my heart. And of course, you guys are doing more with you and your customers and partners are doing more with the platform than ever was intended, I bet. But it's kind of limitless, and it's exciting to talk to you about it.
Yeah, it's exciting to see it happen. So I'm happy to have this opportunity.
So I've got in 30 minutes from now, I've got a ServiceNow customer success platform webinar I'm going to watch. I'm just going to spend the next couple hours just learning ServiceNow and learning more about what you guys do.
Excellent.
Well, sir, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy your holiday. Anything else before we let you go that you'd want to share with listeners from the ServiceNow perspective or from the Eric perspective?
I would say the only thing is, our knowledge conference was virtual a couple weeks ago. We did talk about it on our last podcast. And the only thing I would say is if you haven't had a chance to check it out, please go to our website, servicenow.com. We're going to keep all the sessions, keynotes, and everything out there for I think a couple of months for everyone to go back and review. So take this opportunity to check it out. There's a lot of great content out there.
I will, and I've got a couple of key modules I want to go watch at the same time. I had somebody ask me the other day, when the pandemic's over, which it kind of is, kind of sort of, anyway, kind of is. What's the first thing I want to do? Where do I want to travel? I was like, I can't wait to go to a conference with a bunch of customers and other partners. As nerdy as that sounds, I miss it.
Indeed, so do I. And rumor has it is that we are planning on in-person conferences come 2022. So hopefully that will come to fruition.
Yeah, let's hope so. All right, sir. Well, enjoy your holiday, and I appreciate you joining.
Thank you very much. See you next time.